You were 11 years old, and you could hear a door close from 3 rooms away and know exactly how the rest of the night was going to go. Nobody taught you that. There was no lesson, no conversation, no moment where somebody sat you down and explained the system. You just developed it, the way a person who grows up beside a railway line learns to sleep through the 3 a.m. freight and wake instantly on the night it runs late. And it never switched off. Today you walk into a room and within 4 seconds you know who is upset. You read a message and you feel the mood living underneath the punctuation. People tell you that you are perceptive, intuitive, easy to talk to. They say it like a compliment. It was never a compliment. It is a job description. Somewhere in your childhood, a position opened up inside your family. Somebody had to carry the emotional weather. Somebody had to notice, absorb, soften, translate, and keep the room from tipping over. And you took the job. I am the voice you have been hearing, and I want us to walk into this one slowly because it sits closer to the bone than most. There are 7 signs. You will recognize the first one inside 30 seconds. But the 7th is a different kind of thing, and I want you to hold on for it because the 7th is not a habit. It is a reason. It explains why the job never ended, long after the family that hired you dissolved, long after everyone involved got older and quieter and moved to other cities. Because you were being paid for this work, every single day, in a currency you have never once named out loud, and you are still collecting it. I will show you exactly what the wage was. Not yet. Sign 1. You read the room before the room speaks. You do it automatically, the way other people breathe. A shift in someone's jaw. A half-second too long before a reply. The particular flatness in a voice that says nothing is wrong. You clock all of it, and you have already begun adjusting before you have consciously decided anything. Most people think this is a personality trait. It is not. It is a surveillance system, and surveillance systems get installed for a reason. Think about what a child would have to be watching for to build one that good. Sign 2. You apologize before anything has happened. Sorry. Is this a bad time? Sorry, I know you are busy. Sorry, this is probably a stupid question. The word arrives ahead of you like a small animal sent in first to check the ground. You are not apologizing for a mistake. You are apologizing for the possibility of being an inconvenience, which means somewhere in your history, being an inconvenience was genuinely dangerous. Not physically, necessarily, just costly. Somebody's mood was a weather system, and your existence could change the pressure. So you learned to arrive quietly, to take up the smallest possible amount of emotional space in any room you entered. And here is the part that should bother you slightly. You are good at this, genuinely good, which raises the question of how many hours it takes to get that good at something. Sign 3. You are the one people tell things to. And almost nobody asks you anything. Look at your friendships honestly. You know about the divorce, the diagnosis, the thing they have never told anyone. You are the safe place. People leave conversations with you feeling lighter, which is not an accident, it is a service you provide. Now, reverse it. How many of those people could describe what you are currently carrying? Not in general terms. Specifically, this month. Most people who reach this point in the video go very quiet. And it is not that your friends are careless. It is that you have trained them patiently over years to see you as the one who is fine. You answered every question about them so warmly that nobody ever thought to turn the light around. You will tell yourself this is because you are private, because you do not like to burden anyone, because your problems are not that serious compared to theirs. Notice how quickly those explanations arrived, and notice that all 3 of them are the same sentence wearing different coats. If you have followed me this far into it, you are already the kind of mind I built this channel for, because most people close the tab at the point where it stops being about someone else. Right now, there are 39 of us sitting with this, and before the next video goes up, I want us to reach 55. Subscribe and stay in the room. Now back to the thing I still have not told you, because signs 4 through 6 are where the job starts costing you something. Sign 4, you cannot receive. Someone offers to help you move. Someone tries to pay for dinner. Someone gives you a real compliment, not a polite one, and you feel your whole body do something strange. Deflect, joke, change the subject. Say it was nothing. You can pour endlessly. You cannot be poured into. There is a reason for this, and it is not modesty. Receiving means being the one who needs, and in the arrangement you grew up inside, need had already been claimed. There was only ever one need slot in the room, and it was not yours. So you built an identity where you do not have any, and then you called it independence. Watch what happens in your body the next time someone does something kind for you without being asked. There is a flash of warmth, and then, almost immediately underneath it, something tightens. A quiet calculation starts running. How do I return this? When? With what? You do not experience care as care. You experience it as debt. And a person who cannot hold a debt cannot hold a relationship in balance, because balance requires both people to owe each other a little, permanently and comfortably, forever. You do not do that. You keep your account clear, you stay ahead. You give slightly more than you take, always, and you tell yourself it is generosity. It is not generosity. It is distance, arranged so beautifully that nobody has ever complained about it. Sign 5. Rest feels like a debt. You sit down and something in your chest stays standing. You are not relaxing, you are waiting, scanning for the sound of someone needing something. You can only genuinely rest once every other person in the house is settled, fed, calm, and unbothered, which means your nervous system has one condition for switching off, and that condition depends entirely on other people. There is a study you should know about here, and I am telling you now that it will make you uncomfortable. In 1975, the developmental psychologist Edward Tronick ran an experiment that is now called the still face procedure. A mother plays warmly with her infant. Then, on cue, she stops. Her face goes blank. She is present, physically, but emotionally she has gone. What the babies do next is the part that matters. They do not withdraw first. They work. They smile harder. They point. They shriek. They reach. They perform every single thing that has ever brought that face back to life. Only after all of it fails do they turn away and collapse into distress. That is the instinct in its rawest form before language. When the adult goes blank, the child goes to work. Tronick's still face lasts 2 minutes. Then the mother comes back, smiles, repairs it, and the infant settles within seconds because the system is designed to be repaired. Now sit with a version of that experiment which ran for years. Not 2 minutes of a blank face, whole evenings of it, whole seasons. A parent who was physically in the kitchen and emotionally somewhere you could not reach, and a small person in the doorway running the only protocol they had, endlessly trying to bring the face back. Some of you have just realized you can picture the doorway. That is not rest you are missing. That is a shift you were never taken off. Sign 6. Your closest relationships need a problem in order to hold their shape. Be honest about your pattern. The people you fall for tend to be in the middle of something. Struggling, unresolved, a little chaotic, full of potential that has not landed yet. You are not attracted to their crisis. You are attracted to the role their crisis gives you. Because you know exactly who you are when someone is falling apart. You are calm, useful, essential, unshakable. You are magnificent in a crisis. The trouble arrives when things get good. When your partner is stable and content and there is nothing to fix, you feel something that is difficult to admit and almost impossible to explain. You feel unnecessary. And unnecessary for you is not a neutral state. It is a threat. You have seen this in friendships too, and it may be the loneliest version of it. Someone leans on you through the worst year of their life. You are extraordinary. You answer at 2 in the morning, you hold the whole thing steady, you carry it for months. Then they recover. And slowly, without any argument, the friendship thins out. You tell yourself people drift. Sometimes they do. But be precise about what actually happened, because the bond was never built on two people. It was built on a function, and when the function was no longer required, there was nothing underneath it holding the two of you together. That is the shape of every sign so far. You have not been building relationships. You have been getting hired over and over by different people for the same unpaid position, which raises the obvious question, and it is the one this whole video has been walking toward. If nobody is paying you, why have you never stopped? Because somebody is. Somebody always was. Which brings us to the wage. Because you have been listening to this and quietly assuming that somebody handed you this job, that an exhausted parent, a depressed parent, a volatile one, a sick sibling, a marriage that was slowly failing in the next room, that one of them turned to you and made you responsible. That is not what happened. Nobody assigned it. You applied. The family therapist Salvador Minuchin described what he called the parental child, a child who is quietly promoted into the adult tier of a family when the adults can no longer hold it, and Ivan Bosormenier-Nagy, working in the same era, gave the arrangement a name that has stuck ever since. Parentification, not the child who does the dishes, the child who does the feelings. Bosormenier-Nagy described families as running an invisible ledger, an unspoken account of what is owed and to whom, and children as being loyal to that ledger far beyond anything reasonable, entirely underground, without ever knowing the account exists. Gregory Jerkovich, who spent a career studying this, drew the line that matters most. Instrumental parentification is a child who cooks, cleans, translates, and raises siblings, and it can be survivable, even a source of real competence. Emotional parentification, where a child becomes a parent's regulator, confidant, and mood stabilizer, is the one that reliably does damage. Because the labor is invisible. It has no name, no end, no hours, and no way to be finished. So here is the wage. You did not get love for it exactly. What you got was legibility, certainty, a stable, repeatable position in a system that was otherwise unpredictable. And for a child, predictability is more urgent than affection. You could not make them steady, but you could always make yourself useful, and usefulness is something a child can control. That is what you were paid. The reliable relief of knowing your place. And the reason the job never ended is that nobody ever fired you, because nobody ever hired you. You cannot resign from a position that was never formally offered. Which brings us to sign 7, and this is the one people do not say out loud. Sign 7. You do not know what you want. You know what is needed. Ask yourself, right now, plainly, not what would be sensible, not what would help anyone. What do you actually want? And watch how long the silence lasts. You can produce an answer eventually, but notice its shape. It is usually a want with a beneficiary attached. You want to earn more so your family is secure. You want to be healthier so you can be there for people. You want peace so you can stop being difficult to be around. There is a version of you underneath all of that with preferences that serve nobody, and you have not spoken to that person in a very long time. John Bowlby, whose work built the modern understanding of attachment, described a pattern he named compulsive caregiving. Not generosity, a strategy. A child who discovers early that the only reliable route to closeness is to become the one who provides it, and who therefore keeps providing forever, because stopping would mean testing whether they are wanted for anything else. Alice Miller wrote about the same child from the inside, the one who develops an extraordinary sensitivity to what a parent needs and, in becoming exactly that, quietly loses contact with what they themselves felt. That is the real cost. Not that you gave too much, that you traded your own inner signal for a role, and the trade worked. It kept you close. It kept the room from tipping over. It got you through a childhood that might otherwise have been unsurvivable. You were not weak for making that trade. You were resourceful. An 11-year-old with almost no power found the one lever available and pulled it over and over for years. But that child made a deal on behalf of an adult who had not been born yet, And that adult is you, still honoring the terms of a contract signed by someone who could not read it. You do not have to keep paying it forward. Nothing here needs to be torn down. Your sensitivity is real and it is worth having. The task is not to become careless. The task is to stop letting the reading of other people substitute entirely for the reading of yourself. And it starts somewhere much smaller than you expect. Someone asks where you want to eat. Do not scan their face first. Answer. You will feel exposed doing it. Sit inside the exposure. That feeling is not a warning. It is just an old alarm going off in a house where nothing is on fire anymore. You were 11 years old, and you could hear a door close from 3 rooms away and know exactly how the rest of the night was going to go. You still can. You are simply allowed now to let the night go however it goes and stay in your own room. So we will leave the hallway there with the door closed and nothing to fix on the other side of it. If any of this stayed with you, leave a like and subscribe so we do not lose track of each other.